It might hurt, but you know me, gotta be fearless, or at least try. With love, Nola darling. She's gotta have it. We are on the last episode, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, my loves, and hello to all the She's Gotta Have It fans. I am your girl, Nakia Monet, and I am holding it down with my beautiful girls and my beautiful co-hosts. Hello, ladies.
Hey, I'm Mina. What's up?
Hey guys, it's your girl Drew Jones.
That is right, and here we are recapping the last episode of She's Gotta Have It Season 2. I cannot believe we are on episode 9, hashtag IAmYourMirror, but here we are. We're going to talk about it because there are a lot of things to talk about. A different type of ending. There's some people who are feeling it, not feeling it, so we're going to tell you how we feel about it. Before we get started, we do have some news and gossip a little later, and we have a new segment that I'm going to try with the ladies. I didn't tell them what it is, so I'm going to surprise them at the end, and then if you guys watched before, we try to guess what everyone's horoscope was. This time we're going to definitely take on Miss Nola darling, and we're going to reveal what we think her astrology sign is. Guys, what are your overall thoughts on the last episode of Season 2? Were you feeling it? Did you think it should have ended the way it did?
I did like the last episode. It just didn't feel like a finale to me. Like, this whole thing kind of just whizzed by really quickly, and I feel like nothing happened, but at the same time, a lot of important issues were highlighted. But I just didn't feel a ton of character development, and I thought that following Season 1, we would see some, like, crazy epiphany that Nola would have, and she kind of just feels like the same Nola from Season 1, and I don't feel like I've seen a ton of growth from her. But I feel like in some ways she's become more subdued than before, and before I feel like she would do stuff just to do it, like shock value stuff, but now at the end of Season 1, we kind of see that, people have at least interpreted what she did as shock value. I didn't interpret it the same way her haters did, but I did like how it ended. I thought it was really interesting, and I like that we also saw like a very real side of Shemeka too, which she's always been real from the beginning, but I can appreciate friends that will tell you the truth to your face and not just, the sugar coating you want to hear.
I agree. What about you, Drew?
I actually really enjoyed the season finale, and I was kind of shocked at the internet's reaction to this season of She's Gotta Have It. But I just feel like Spike Lee did an amazing job of making this feel like real life, and in real life there isn't a season finale, like there's not like a dramatic chapter closing type thing, and so the way it ended for me was very like cool. It kind of let my mind wander and like in hopes of like a season 3, and even if there isn't a season 3, I felt like there were so many avenues that like my mind could go with where Nola's story could lead to.
Yes, agree with both of you ladies. I really enjoyed this season. I was also confused about the backlash that it got, and a lot of people didn't like this season, which is cool. If you don't like the season, it's your thing. But I know a lot of people were confused, and I'm not confused at why they didn't like it, because I feel like if you don't like something, you don't have to like anything you don't want to, and I never want to police anybody's like, you must like what I like.
Yeah.
But I was confused at why people were confused, and I felt like, I'm like, all right, I feel like no one's either seen the movie or they don't know Spike Lee's style.
Facts.
Because what Spike Lee does, he's the type of creative, like I know there's certain artists and directors like a Quentin Tarantino where some artists may invite you in if you've never seen their work and you may understand it, but I think Spike is like, if you ain't seen it in 1992 and you don't get it, I don't know what to tell you, but I did enjoy the season, and I did enjoy the season finale. I feel like she came a little bit full circle, but we'll talk more about that. But let's get into it. We got Nola's solo show, the art show, My Name Isn't. This whole season, it's been a struggle for her because she couldn't focus on trying to get her solo show together. She didn't know what to pretty much put out into the world, but we see she has self-portraits of herself. Her Puerto Rico trip is up with the photographs. She has political portraits like the I Can't Breathe, Papo's Cart, Puerto Rican flags, a lot of beautiful things. And also, which was dope, was the people that I feel like inspired her were at this art show. So you have your parents, every single one of her exes,
Again.
neighbors, different artists, her new boo. So what you guys, how did you guys feel about it? How did it make you feel? Because I felt really good of the opening, because I loved her speech where she's speaking to everyone and she's standing on the ladder, and I love what Spike does with the camera where it's like the people are looking at her but they're looking into the camera. So how did you guys feel about her art show?
I think one of the bravest things you can do is to kind of like show your soul to the world, and I've always admired artists who can do that with like galleries and whatnot, because it's very intimate, and you know, you're letting people into your innermost like precious thoughts basically. And I feel like the show alone was a huge development for Nola, because it showed how assured she was in her art, because that hasn't always been a thing for her. So just kind of like, even though people may have had little like things here and there about different pieces or whatnot, she was very firm in like, well, this is my art and I like it. So
yeah. What about you, Mina?
Yeah, I did like it, but then I felt like part of it was kind of like unrealistic / cheesy, where it's like, oh, all the exes are coming, like, but we've never settled any of this stuff. Like, why would Jamie Overstreet be there after everything that's going on with his wife and him trying to work it out? Like, that doesn't make sense unless he took a step back. Why would Opal be there with her daughter unless there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that we haven't seen? And then Olu's there, and then Greer's there, and then Mars is there, and then you almost feel like that scene where it's the three of them, it's like, oh, this is kind of like an ode to like how season 1 ended, where it's like the three of them at Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm so glad they didn't turn it into like, oh, I love her kind of thing, because it was almost going there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god, no, like, please don't go in that direction. That's gonna kind of like ruin everything. It's just gonna be like a weird like fight for a girl. Like, yeah. I'm glad they like strayed away from that. But other than that, I thought the art was so beautiful, and it just showed like, wow, like, she's really accomplished a lot for her career in a year. And even when she says the thing to the girl, the new girl, Yennefer, she's like, no, I'm not getting paid to do this. I pay for this to be here. And you see this perplexed look on her face, and it's like, that's such a relatable feeling when people are like, why would you pay to work? And it's like, you, as a creative, you have to pay to work until you get paid to work.
Or pay to do what you really love to
Yeah.
do. People's minds are blown that we actually put in the work for free. Because that's what we love to do, and we know what's going to, you know, be the end result, kind of like Nola. But yeah, let's touch up on it, because that was going to be my next point. All of her lovers was there. We got Mars, we got Greer, we got Jamie, we got Opal. Mars is kicking it with Yennefer. Greer's with the beautiful Rare. I'm obsessed with her. Opal's with baby girl Skylar, and Jamie is Jamie. And she kind of has these moments with each of them, which I enjoyed. And I love the moment that she had with Opal, because I felt like this was the first time that they both were admitting what I guess they, like, why they weren't a perfect couple. Mm-hmm. And I like how sarcastic they were. Like, Opal's like, yeah, you know me, patient, not controlling. And I love how Nola's like, you know me, not like being controlled. So I like that they had that conversation. And I feel like that might be closure for them, because I feel like they'd make great friends, but I don't think that they'd make a great couple. Same thing we talked about with Mars. They make amazing friends, and I like that they had this touching moment. But Yennefer from the D Train pulled up like, no. And I love, like, I think her and Greer are like the closest out of all of them. And I like the understanding. And I don't care, even if there's not a season 3 and if we have to imagine there is a threesome happening. We're going to simple. And then Jamie was just like, what I feel like in real life, what her relationship is with Jamie, it's kind of left unsaid, I guess you could say. What you guys think about the exes?
I felt like her exes being there, I kind of disagree. I felt like her exes being there was realistic to me, at least, just like, as someone who has multiple exes, I'm cool with most of them, and like, you know, we can support one another without it being like weird. And I really like seeing all the different styles of relationships, because I really do think all of them, it showed how unique each relationship was, and how none of them were the same. Even the fact that, because I kind of compared Opal and Jamie to each other earlier in the season, but just seeing how Opal was able to kind of own up to some stuff in her conversation with Nola, I thought showed a lot of growth, because Jamie's was more like egotistical and like, yeah, I put it down, and like, what, you know, it just
Yeah.
showed that he hasn't matured at all. But yeah, I thought it was really cool to see the levels of where she is with each friendship, and how, or each ex, and how they each bring something different to the table for her.
Yeah, it was really, really, really cool to see. One of the main things at this art show was her piece behind the maroon curtain. So throughout the whole, you know, we only get 30 minutes of the show, but throughout the episode, you have a line of people that she specifically picks to go behind this curtain to witness her art. And you get to see the different reactions of people when they walk out of the curtains. And I thought it was interesting, because the men's looks, the men enjoyed it. Because at first I was like, wait, I wonder what it is. I'm really interested. But a lot of people were really confused, and they didn't understand what was going on. And her therapist explained it, how it was beautiful and ugly at the same time. And someone else said it was brutally honest. But at the end, we got to find out what it was. It was a photo of Nola Darling being lynched by her braids, naked, but painted in the American flag. What did you guys take from it? How did you guys feel? Did you think the weird backlash from, not the weird, but did you think the backlash from her peers was understandable? Like, what was your thoughts? Because I know when I was seeing the photo, I was like, oh, okay, that's art. Because I know sometimes art, one, is subjective and it can be very shocking, even if it pisses you off, kind of like how it did Shemeka, and Shemeka had every right to feel that way. But I was like, oh, that's art. I thought it was beautiful, and I understood where she was coming from. Like, my pain, too, I should be able to put my pain out there. I'm sorry that it makes you uncomfortable, but this is how I feel. And being a black woman in America, as soon as I seen that photo, I was like, yo. All the feels. So what about you ladies? How did it make you feel, or did it make you feel anything, or were you like, okay, it's not that serious, or is it serious?
Yeah, like, well, sometimes I feel like, I don't know, like, if I'm in the situation to speak out on these things, because it doesn't affect me the same way it would affect, you know, you ladies, and I don't want to, like, overstep at all, but my interpretation, I wasn't offended by it. Like, I saw it as, like, wow, this is really beautiful, and it's so meaningful, because it's basically showing how, like, her braids are, like, wrapped around her in a way that's kind of, like, choking her, kind of in the way that it's like, yeah, like being a black woman in America, you're basically like, it's like almost like a death sentence, in the sense that, like, how often are you going to face discrimination? How often are you going to face, you know, police brutality because of, like, the hair on your head being different from the hair on a white person's head because of the color of your skin? And it's like, yeah, like, your body is painted in, like, the American flag, but it's kind of saying, like, this is America. Like, my body is just something to be looked at. It's a commodity. It's not, you know, it's not actually a body. And it's like, black bodies matter, but just having the American flag taking over, it's almost like suggesting, no, your body belongs to the government.
Right.
Like, your body belongs to people in positions of power in the United States of America, and that's why there's a noose around your neck by your own hair, because, you know, you can't help being black. You were born into this, and this is what it looks like. And I didn't see it as something that was necessarily overly sexualized. It just looked like, this is her body. It's controlled by the government, and her braids are showing that, you know, she's basically, you know, dying because of her blackness. Like, this is like what she's facing. And I thought it was so beautiful. I thought it was extremely thought-provoking, and I didn't understand the backlash, because art is art, and yeah, there are some things that are like, whoa, shocking, but it's art by someone who's expressing their personal struggle as a black woman, you know? It's just not saying this is what everyone goes through, but this is how I feel about my struggle within the community. So I kind of felt like when people were coming in, it's like, why are you going in and policing what she can and cannot say? So I don't know.
Yeah, no. I like it. What about you, Drew?
For me, it was very interesting to see how, for me, most of the opinions weren't, in my opinion, like, didn't matter to me, because I was like, you're not a black woman, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Kind of like when Beyonce put out Lemonade and people had all these opinions, and it was like, she made this for black women, so I don't care if Chad at Rolling Stone doesn't like this piece because it wasn't made for you. But I thought the piece itself was really powerful. I understood, like, where Shemeka was coming from, because it is painful, and there is a lot, like, looking at it for me was very, like, I felt a mix of emotions, because it's like, this is a beautiful piece, but it is a painful reminder of, like, the black women are essentially the backbone of this country, and the most, James Baldwin said, or not James Baldwin, Malcolm X said, the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. And to see her being hung by her braids, and, you know, to have this, like, naked body and everything, when black women's bodies are constantly policed and constantly sexualized and constantly nitpicked, and everyone copies what we naturally look like, but we get, you know, dragged for just being. I thought was really powerful. And I thought it was interesting to see how many men sexualized that photo, just because I think of how easily black women are sexualized. Like, how many times, you know, little black girls are being told they're being fast for wearing, you know, shorts, when any other, like, when a white girl or whoever can wear the same shorts and do the same things and, you know, are still seen as a little girl. But, like, with black women, we're considered grown women, you know, way early. And so I just thought it was very powerful, and I was confused on her white friend was very upset by it, and I thought that was really interesting because a lot of times with white allies, they want, like, in their minds, I think they want to help, and in their minds they want to push the narrative, but I think they also don't want to unpack it. They don't want to own up to the fact that they're also part of the problem, whether they consciously are part of the problem or not. Like, them existing in their privilege is still playing into the problem. And so watching her be upset about it was very interesting, because I was like, how are you going to say you're an ally, a woke ally, but you're still policing a black woman expressing her pain? That doesn't make any sense.
I think what you both said is literally what I was thinking and what I was feeling. Retweet, retweet, retweet. You guys both beautifully said it. It was beautiful, and it was very painful because it is a reminder that I think a lot of people need that reminder, because, you know, when Barack Obama was our president, everyone was like, oh, racism is over. Mm-hmm. It's, oh my God, there's no such thing. And I think sometimes you need a reminder, like, no, fam, like, it's black people being shot just for breathing.
Because in reality, hate crimes went up during his presidency.
Okay. There's a whole hashtag, breathing while black, barbecuing while black. So I think we need those reminders. And it kind of pissed me off back in the day, too, when people would be like, oh, we don't need any more slave movies. No, apparently we do, because we need to remind people only 100 and something years ago, only 40 years ago, that black people got the right to vote. You know, like, and I feel like sometimes we get in this place where we're like, no, we're comfortable. And it's like, no, we're not. We live in such a horrible place. So I understand why it was thought-provoking and it was painful, because it is something painful to see. And remember, our ancestors were being hung up to, like, recently, and we're still being killed. So I enjoyed the criticism as well, because and like you said, Drew, I feel like with this season finale, with the show, Spike made it really realistic, because I feel like those were really real reactions. Like, fam, you cannot put this up, and then they have the men sexualize it, and I'm like, I don't even think they got the damn picture.
Yeah.
But I think what you guys said was
smiling when they come out of the curtain.
And that's what had my mind going.
What?
I was like, okay, she's probably naked in the photo. Mm-hmm. So then, because I was like trying to take in clues, I'm like, why they all smiling? Men, okay.
She, at the end of episode 8, the last scene is her taking that photo, and she puts her arm up, and I was like, what is she doing exactly? But now seeing that, I see that was like an outline for her noose and everything. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but I do enjoy, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. So I enjoyed it. But you guys said it so beautifully. Mm-hmm. I love what you guys had to say. Something else I loved is Nola's new boo showed up. Well, boo friend, man friend. I guess this is kind of like a prediction, but I was saying, like, because, he comes in and she's like, I thought you were in London, and he's like, decided to stop by. So if there is a season 3, and if there is not a season 3, do you see this going any place with these two? Because I thought it was really cool that he showed up to support her art, and they had a really sexy conversation going on. They were really close and touchy-feely.
They seem very similar to me in the sense that he's like a free spirit traveling. And remember a couple episodes ago, he's like, I don't believe in relationships, and I'm going to be single.
British accent.
And I'm just like, and she's saying it right after they had sex and like had like this very intimate night earlier in the episode. And it's almost like a slap in the face. It's like, oh, like, I'm not going to be in America and I'm doing my own thing. And I think in a way that makes him like more desirable to her, because they're both like that. They're both like these free spirits, and he just like reminds me of the male version of her. Like, he seems to be very like aware of things socially, even though she says he's not as culturally aware as she is when it comes to history. But yeah, like I can see it being more of like not a long-term thing, but them having amazing chemistry, because they kind of are like air signs in a way that gravitate towards each other, like very free-flowing and like, no crazy attachments, but
just having a good time.
A lot of like deep conversations that are intellectual and centered around creativity and art.
Awesome. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I don't really see it being anything, but I don't think either one of them wants. Like, I didn't think she took it as offense when he was like, I don't do the relationship thing. Because I think season 1, a lot of her identity was in the people that she laid down with, and that's why she had like her loving bed and whatnot. And then when she disassembled it in this season, I felt like he was just like an accessory, not an identity for her. And I think he challenges her, and like I think they have a good relationship, but I don't think it's the same as it was with like Mars or Greer or Jamie, where she like identifies with them. It's just kind of like, we see each other, we know what this is, and it's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Looking for that. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. So at the end of it, Nola receives the chocolates from Miss Prita, and Prita is the woman who is kind of like the advanced version of Chloe, who I believe she's a manager, like an agent, an art person to kind of get her stuff out. And it looks like there's a famous musician who wants to buy her piece. So my question for you ladies, since we're at the end, this is season 2, episode 9. Do you think Nola has evolved, and why or why not? Or do you think she's found herself, I guess you can say?
I think she's definitely, I think it's hard to say she found herself because I think we're consistently on a journey to find ourselves. But I think she's found new parts of herself, and I definitely do think she's evolved. Her, even like just from looking at her art alone, I forget who said it to her, but I think it was her art friend, the one that she went on the trip with. Dutch, yes. And she was just like, your pieces back then said things, but they like weren't personalized. Now it's like, this is you saying it. And I feel like Nola's a lot more confident in her opinion and how she sees the world, and it's a lot less like outside influences. So yeah, I definitely think she's evolved.
Okay, what about you, Mina?
I don't really think she's grown like a considerable amount, considering this is 18 months later. I would have assumed that there would be massive amounts of growth, because wherever there's trauma, there's crazy amounts of growth, and she went through like really bad heartbreak, and you would think that that's enough to like shape you. But I think in a way I think it was like good for her in the sense that it kind of made her not jaded, but kind of be like, okay, like I have my art, I'm not gonna have to like be super focused with this. And like she had her time to grieve, moved on, was more mature in her reconciliation with Opal, even though there were the slight jabs, like, I don't like being controlled, but there was a part of it that was flirtatious and not necessarily purely immature, just like kind of flirtatious and cheeky. But I don't think she's like really evolved that much, and I think that's why her character in this season really annoyed me. Like, you know, in the first season, like, I gave her a pass. I was like, no, like, you know, we all go through this. It's kind of like, remember, like, we used to watch Girls and review it, and the characters on Girls were, like, so unredeemable to the point where you're like, ugh, like, I can't, like, relate to your, like, whiteness and, like, how you're so privileged
living
and
in Greenpoint in Brooklyn. I'm like, this is not real.
Complaining about everything, and, like, there's no people of color. But I loved Girls. But this is a different, like, lack of empathy, where it's just like, yeah, the first season, I got it, like, you're struggling this, but then there's something about her that became annoying in season 2, where I felt like she was, like, always trying to put a smile on her face and be like, hello, and, like, be super proper, and, like, she didn't feel as real and authentic to me as she did in season 1, and I think there was something about her arc that just kind of annoyed me, like, and I can't pinpoint it, because it's like she's still cool. She's just like, I started to not like really relate to her or identify with her in the way that I did before, and she kind of felt like free, but in a weird way where she just like didn't care about things the same way.
I think Nola has some more growing to do. I think she's at the beginning stage of trying to find herself and know herself, and I think she's learning about her confidence and stepping into it, and I think that's why for me as well, you know, her character, I love Nola Darling. I've always been a fan of Nola Darling, but I think this season, this is where she's getting to know herself a little bit. So I do hope that there is a season 3 so we get to see more of her arc. Let's do 3 of our favorite moments. Before we do, shout out to everybody that's in the live chat. Hi to you guys, and shout out to everyone who's been watching our review and leaving comments and showing us love. In the comments, let me know if you guys think that there should be a season 3, and let me know what you thought about season 2 and the season finale. Let's get into like we always do the 3 things that we like. So since there's 3 of us, we can go around and say our favorite 3 things. I can start so that way you ladies can think about what you want to say. So my favorite thing from this episode is Onyx. I forgot his real name, but him standing in front of the Christopher Columbus statue and talking about all the credit that he deserves because he's the one who put the fire under Nola's ass, and that's what her art show was so successful. And I thought it was so appropriate to have him standing in front of the Christopher Columbus statue, the man who came in and did the same shit pretty much. So that was my favorite moment of this episode. What about you guys?
I need to think about it. My favorite moment of the episode. That's a really good one. That wasn't my favorite moment, though. I feel like there's got to be something else. I think, honestly, like, just seeing, like, what the painting was and also the conversation with Shemeka, because it showed, like, I liked when she was like, I'll support you publicly, but behind closed doors know that this is how I really feel. And I feel like there's something to be said about that, like, relationship of like, yeah, I'll support you publicly because like that's what friends do. Like, I have your back. I don't want people to think there's beef between us, and I'm not gonna like bash you in front of people and make you look bad like for your image, but I'm telling you the truth and how I really feel, and this is something that you should like heavily consider. Like, I'm not telling you to change it, but realize this is the impact your art has had on so many people, and this is why people are upset. Because I feel like, yeah, like, Shemeka usually isn't like this person who's like a buzzkill who just nitpicks every little thing someone does. So if she's gonna say something, there's validity to it.
Right.
She's not like overly sensitive or like she gets offended at everything. Like, she's a very like, she seems to be very real. So I liked when she's like, oh, you just think like I'm ghetto, and you don't like respect my opinion in the same way. And it's like, it kind of showed like, you know, that there was like this weird power imbalance where Nola, like, or at least in Shemeka's eyes, that Nola has this like, oh, like, holier than thou, like, I'm an artiste and I'm this and I'm that, and like, what do you know? And like, I kind of felt that a little bit, but it was nice that they could at least have a conversation, and there was like definitely a degree of trust and authenticity there because of that.
Yeah. Drew, what was your favorite moment if you have one?
I think my favorite moment would be the scene with the three exes kind of paralleling last season, just because I really like the dynamic of those three. Those three actors are really great at kind of, you know, mingling and making it seem like there's this obvious competition, even though like they all have clearly moved on in their own rights. And I just like seeing where the characters have developed since last season, because I think there's been a lot of growth with all of them, minus Jamie. But it was cool to see.
Yes. Yeah, I like that part too. Like, I loved them standing in front of like that broken mirror, and then they're all standing, doing their thing and kind of throwing jabs at each other. Meanwhile, two of their girlfriends walk over. So I thought that was pretty cool. Is there people in the chats?
Yeah, I'm looking at Jamar Hilbert right now, and he said, with regards to the painting, he said, at first I feel like that painting was a little extreme. Her friend Shemeka asked her what she really has been through, and I agree with her. Then I let it sink in a minute, though, damn, the original had the C. I don't know what that means. The original had the C.
I don't know. Well, shout out to you, Jamar.
Had the controversial ending. Yeah, there we go.
Gotcha.
And then he also said, maybe gossip made her a target. I feel like catcalling alone wouldn't have been enough. So I kind of agree. Like, there is a part of me where Shemeka's like, what have you been through? Right. But then we also talked about in the after shows, like, not comparing pain. Yeah. And like maybe like someone's pain threshold could be like way lower than someone else's who has been through more.
Yeah.
But I did kind of feel that, because to a certain degree, like, Nola has more privilege than Shemeka, and Shemeka has gone through all these things, and like I got where Shemeka was coming from, but art is art. Like, you express your personal pain through the ways you find therapeutic.
I don't agree that Shemeka's been through more than Nola. I think, especially as Black women, we're trained to not voice our pain and voice our struggles, because, like, the idea of a Black woman is that we're strong and independent, and I think we've seen Nola, just because, like, we've seen Nola for only, like, 2 years of her life, technically, and so we don't know about her past, and I also think, like I said, you know, like, we're trained not to speak out on it or whatever, and just because Nola is in Shemeka's eyes thriving doesn't mean that there aren't freedoms that Shemeka can experience that Nola can't, and the idea of like pitting their pains against each other like is like kind of rubs me the wrong way, because it's like that's where the separation within the Black community comes, is when we start trying to like compete with who's been through more.
But you know what I do think, shout out to you, Jamar, shout out to your comment, I also do think like those conversations are needed between those two people, because I think it's something where on one end you don't understand or possibly understand where one other person can come from, and you don't understand, like, fam, we shouldn't even be comparing our hurt with each other, but let's have these conversations and tell me why you're uncomfortable. Then I'll tell you, I feel why you're uncomfortable, but this is what I love to do, and as my people, you don't have to support it, but this is where I'm coming from. So I did appreciate that conversation and the raw emotion, and seeing Shemeka. I love Shemeka. Like, she's just perfect. So I did enjoy that comment.
I've honestly like started loving her more this season.
Yeah.
Like, just like seeing, like, I feel like with her we've seen so much growth. Like, just everything, like how she's handled everything. And
she's
there's
been
like
through a lot.
Strength and a softness to her character.
Right. You know, they've all been through a lot, and I think everybody's journey is a little bit different. Everyone's a lot can mean something completely different. But shout out to you guys in the chat. Sorry, this is gonna be the last day that we're gonna be talking to you guys, but I do want to keep the conversation going. So make sure you guys leave comments below and let us know how you felt about season 2, which season you liked better. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys give us a thumbs up and comment and like. If you guys are listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, or SoundCloud, make sure you guys give us 5 stars and show us the love or the hate and let us know what you didn't like about the show. Alrighty then, really great show, really great season. I enjoyed it. So let's get into some of our special segments because we have a few. So first, Drew, do you want to kick us off with some news and gossip?
Let's do it.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so we've obviously been going through the show quite a bit, pretty quickly, so, you know, the news isn't turning too much. But there was a lot of backlash just on the season as a whole. Twitter is kind of going off about Spike Lee's point of view on the Black experience. The Atlantic wrote an article called The Messy Politics of Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It, and it basically goes into how they basically are policing his voice and how he sees the world. And I thought that I think for me the breakout or the backlash of the season 2 and like everyone kind of being like Spike Lee does X, Y, and Z is very interesting because it's like this is what he sees. You can't tell someone that their point of view or their experience is wrong. It may not be your experience. It may not be something that's comfortable to you, but the idea that you're policing somebody's art, but then at the same time fighting for the freedom to express your art is like weird. And so the backlash has been, and there's been a couple articles where people are defending Spike Lee and kind of saying along the lines of the same thing, but it's been a big conversation on Twitter.
Yeah, man.
About
Wow.
Spike.
Spike got his Oscar. He said, y'all gonna have these conversations. And I do find it very interesting. I read that article and then I read like one from Refinery 29 who wrote about him as well. And I'm like, y'all, like you just said, you can't be policing people's art. This is his experience. Spike has been this way for over 30 years. If you don't like it, then you create something, you tell us how you feel and where you stand. But I think this is needed because there are people who can relate to a Nola Darling, who can relate to a Opal, a Chloe, or Shemeka. That's why I think like artists like him are needed. So shout out to you and thank you, Drew, for news and guests.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay, let's get into a new segment that I created.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really create it. I just was like, this would be cool. Since the show's called She's Gotta Have It, and there's 3 she's. Those are our pronouns, correct? She, her, they, me too. Hi. There's 3 she's here, and I feel like we should say 3 things that she's gotta have in life. It's corny, but why?
No, I like
not?
that.
Oh, I can start 3 things that Nakia has got to have. Food, family, and good sex.
Whew.
Now, am I getting all 3 of those things? Probably not. But I have my family, and that's all that matters. Those are the 3 things that she's gotta have.
Hey.
Ladies?
I would say for me, purpose, resilience, and patience.
Nice.
I think resilience is really important because us cancers can be very sensitive. I know, we can be very sensitive, and I think it's important to not let, you know, it's kind of like when celebrities are like, I don't read good things about me, I don't read bad things about me, because your confidence should come from yourself, not from what other people say about you, not from what other people think about you. That shouldn't be the litmus test of your worth. And I also think this is just such a tough industry because you're constantly like looking for validation, like, oh, did I do well on that carpet? Oh, did I do good in that interview? Like, did I do well here and here and here? So I think like all of that's important, like resilience in terms of like when you get knocked down, like are you just sulking for like months and months, or are you saying, you know what, this happened, I'm gonna move past it, I'm not gonna use it as an excuse for like being this way or not getting what I want. Patience, because like I'm extremely patient with kids and the elderly, which are 2 groups that are very hard to be patient with, but like everyone else I'm just like, I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, you guys are killing me. But
Those are very good.
yeah, I don't remember my 3rd one, but yeah.
I like it. Those are great.
That's how I feel.
3 things that she's, Mina, gotta have. Drew, what are 3 things that you got to have?
I've gotta have good laughs, Dolly Parton, which is my cat, and good weed. You know, all things that are de-stressors.
I feel that. Your Dolly Parton is an amazing partner.
She is.
She's great. She bit me yesterday, but she's great.
She bit me too.
We love her. So 3 things that she's gotta have. So those are our 3 things. If you guys are in the comments, let us know what 3 things she's or he's or they, them, and theirs have got to have. I'm here for the pronouns, and I think that we should all use them.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm learning, so here I am. Let's get to our last segment. We've been having a ball talking about astrology and what everyone's sign is in horoscopes. And last but not least, we're gonna guess what is Nola Darling's horoscope sign.
I'm so confident in this answer.
Drew, would you like to start?
She's an Aquarius. That's the good sis. We are Aquariuses together. I see a lot of myself in her. She's an Aquarius with maybe like an Aries moon or maybe like a Pisces moon.
Okay, Mina, what is Nola Darling's? Very good, Drew.
Thank you.
Nola Darling's horoscope sign. Because you're good with this. You're really we've been talking about this.
Like, I'm torn between 2 right now.
You can say what you think both is.
Because
I have like 3.
I'm torn between Aquarius and Gemini, and I'm not sure which one she is.
Gang.
I feel like Gemini because she puts on that like happy face. She seems to be very adaptable in situations, and she smiles and she's approachable. And that's how Geminis tend to be, and they do have 2 sides of them. So they have like 2 personality traits or 2 qualities that are always existing at the same time but in constant opposition with one another. And I guess with Nola that could be like, you know, being an introvert and an extrovert, or being stubborn and kind of submissive to a certain degree, where it's like you feel both, where like, wow, she took a lot from Opal and like kept her mouth shut, but then she's also very aggressive at times where she's like, no. So like she has like different qualities that work in opposition with each other but exist simultaneously. And then also I feel like she's kind of all over the place, but she's also very artistic and free-flowing, and I don't know. I feel like she kind of does stuff like sometimes for shock value, but not always. And I think, I don't know, she just strikes me as either Gemini or Aquarius. Aquarius because like she sees the bigger picture. She uses her art to show like the, you know, systemic injustices of the world and things that are large scale. And Aquarians tend to think about things on a global scale, not just how does this affect one person. It's like, how does it affect
Drew's loving
everyone?
all of this because she's an Aquarius.
Yeah, but Aquarians also tend to like, this is why I'm torn between Aquarius and Gemini. They tend to have like multiple partners, not commit to just one person, like not really know, like they're like, oh, I like this and I like this and I want a buffet of people and I want this and this. But then when they find like that one person, they're like, that's when they're like, ooh, I like that person, and then they're very loyal. But it takes a lot for that loyalty and romance, because they don't see things as like necessarily right and wrong. They see it like, oh, like, you know, I'm like, they're very open to like the idea of like multiple partners, and they don't see things in terms of like what the status quo may be. They think they're out of the box thinkers, and Nola kind of seems like that. So she's either a Gemini or an Aquarius.
Okay, Mina broke it all the way down. So we got 2 Aquariuses and a Gemini. I think because at first I was gonna go with a Sag, only because she's all over the place. She likes to do things for shock value, the partner situation. But then I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go on a whim and say Aries, because of her,
that was the other
temper.
one.
And Aries are always trying to fight, but they're great people. They're artistic. Because Aries and Sagittarius, we're very compatible, but Aries is just a little bit more crazier than us. And that's why I say I see her as either being an Aquarius or an Aries. So those are my 2. I would say with maybe a rising sun of a Sagittarius. That's why I see her as the good Nola Darling. Thank you, ladies. What a ride this has been. I'm really excited. Let's just get into some predictions if we think that there is going to be a season.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
What do you got? We can do quickly. Do you guys think there's going to be a season 3?
Yeah, it's Spike Lee, so I think there's going to be a season 3. And I think when you have an ending that's like semi-controversial and it gets like a buzz, I think that's one that's like, oh, well, what's going to happen? Like, let's get that season 3. And I don't see it not getting a season 3. I feel like people have tuned in, and like it's left open-ended where he could easily create concrete more to this story, and I feel like there was no definitive ending. I would like to see more.
I'd like to see it.
What he comes up with.
Awesome. Season 3 for you. What about you, Drew?
I think I would like to see a season 3. I would like to see Mars in a committed relationship with someone, and I would like to see more of Nola traveling.
Yes.
I really like the travel episodes.
I like that. And I'm with you, ladies. I do think there is going to be a season 3. I would love to see a season 3. And I would like to see more of the backstories. I love knowing about everybody else. And I love to see more of Winnie and Shemeka and more of Mars, because I love actually hearing him talk and not be so damn goofy. And I would love to see if Spike will make an appearance as Mookie. You know what I'm saying?
Please.
She's got to have it and do the right thing. So I think that would be great. Ladies, what an amazing season we had. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to go back and binge the whole season again. Before we go, let the fans know where they can find you guys now that she's all that. She's all that. Good night. She's good.
I also want to say...
I'm in 1999, so...
Yes.
I also really want to see more of Rockaletta Moss, because
yes.
I really like her. But anyway, just to let everyone know, Nakia's a Sagittarius, I'm a Cancer, and we got an Aquarius in the house right here.
Yes!
I'm Mina. I'm the astrology expert. You can follow me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic.
And I'm your girl, Jude Jones. Make sure to catch me on the Cloak and Dagger season finale right after this. And you guys can slide into the DMs at OKJuJ, where I might ignore you, or I might not. Who knows?
A true Aquarius. And those 3 things that I said, food, family, and good sex, feel free to slide into my DMs at Kiki Boom Boom, and maybe you can help me with my checklist. See you guys later. Hopefully we'll see you guys for season 3. Bye!
Bye!
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.